After 3 lessons on tables, you might feel a bit tired. So let's take it easy this time. Let me supplement the introduction of a few commonly used tags. First, I'll write 2 hyperlinks here, one linking to Amazon and the other to Apple. Open them with Live Server. Do you still remember why these 2 hyperlinks are displayed on the same line? It's because the A tag is an inline element, right? The most notable feature of inline elements is that they don't occupy a whole line. Or in other words, multiple inline elements are displayed side by side in one line. Now, here's a task. I want the second hyperlink to display on a new line. What should we do? We can use a special tag to tell the browser to break the line at that point. So we can add a BR tag right after the first hyperlink. BR tag can be used to insert single line breaks in the text. Keep in mind, the BR tag is a self-closing tag. Now, does the second hyperlink appear on the next line? Now, let me ask you this. What happens if I add another BR tag after it? Wouldn't it create another link break, making the gap even larger? However, let me give you a bit of advice. If your purpose for using BR is to create a line break, that's perfectly fine. But if you want to adjust the spacing between 2 elements using BR, that's not ideal. This is because spacing is more related to styling, and styling is best handled using CSS. Alright, that's the first tag we introduced today. Next, let's talk about the horizontal row. For example, here I have a H1 tag with the title inside, like Chapter 1 Introduction. Below it, there's some paragraph content wrapped in the P tag. I'll just use lorem for the content. Then below that, there's Chapter 2. I'll copy the content from Chapter 1 and modify the title. This is the content of Chapter 1, and this is Chapter 2. To visually separate the chapters and make the division clear, wouldn't it be nice to add a horizontal rule between them? In this case, we can add an HR tag between the chapters. It is also a self-closing tag. Here, let me emphasize again. If you use an HR tag, its purpose should be to create a division. In other words, the HR tag is semantic. It indicates a division. For example, if the content in the green box here is read by screen readers for the visually impaired or other assistive devices, or even search engines, they will recognize that, oh, this is one section of content, followed by a horizontal row, and then another section of content. It conveys meaning. So, I recommend using HR only when you genuinely want to separate content. If you don't want to separate content and just want to draw a horizontal line for a decoration, don't use HR. Instead, use CSS to style it. In short, if you want to separate content, use HR. If your goal is not to separate content but merely to draw a decorative line, please use CSS. Alright, next, I'll introduce a tag called pre-formatted text. For instance, if I want to create a heart shape with text, I might write something like this. save it, and see the effect, you'll find that all the text ends up on the same line. Why is that? Because, as we discussed before, no matter how many consecutive spaces or line breaks you write in your code, they will ultimately be interpreted as just one. So all those spaces you added don't show up. In this case, we can use the pre-formatted tag. Wrap your text along with its formatting in the pre-tag, and it will be displayed with its original format. This tag can be quite useful in our future development. Alright, so in this lesson, we've covered 3 common tags: BR, HR, and then pre. They're all quite simple and don't have any particularly important attributes. Their styles can always be adjusted later through CSS.